here today thanks to Dorks Music with this next in our series of playing tips. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about glissandos on the clarinet, and specifically how to do that really famous glissando from the opening of Rhapsody in Blue. So a lot of people think that bending the pitch on clarinet is all to do with moving the bottom lip up and down. And that will change the pitch to a certain extent, but it's not going to give you a huge amount of motion. It's only going to give you maybe up to a semitone or so. So if I move just that lip and play a top C, I can get kind of... So that top lip going up and down is giving me a little bit of motion. But actually, what we need to engage to get those really big sweeping glissandos and bends is control of the throat and to an extent the voice box. And coupled with that, we're also using the tongue and changing the tongue position. Now, tongue position is something that I think is often overlooked by clarinetists, and the tongue position plays a huge part in focusing the sound. Now, if you think when you whistle, if you try whistling up and down, going kind of, you'll probably notice that as you go down, the tongue drops in your mouth, and as you go up, the tongue comes back up again. And that tongue is kind of focusing the air, controlling how fast the air is going, and that's helping to control the pitch. And we can kind of harness that when we're using the clarinet. Just in an example, I'm going to play you just in a G going up to a top C, and I'm going to deliberately set my tongue in the position for the G and then not move it, and have a listen to what happens. You get... You hear it doesn't work. My tongue is still aiming through a G and the pitch just won't go up. But if I let my tongue flow up naturally, as though I were whistling up, and it's in fact the same effect if you're singing, you hear how I get the focus, that. And in fact, I'll just show you once. If I play the G, keep my tongue in that position, go up, and then I'll bring the tongue up into the position where it should be, and you'll hear the change. And you hear it's kind of bringing that up and focusing it. And what you'll find with the tongue position, if your tongue's too low, the sound will eventually cut out and you'll get this kind of sound. And support through our embouchure can come from lots of different places on the clarinet. It can be the air speed, that correct position of the tongue, and also how tight the corners of your mouth are. So essentially, what we're trying to do to get this flexibility on the glissando, we're moving our tongue up and down to control it, but we've also got to keep everything else really strong. So we've got to keep the air going really fast, keep the corners of our mouth tight. And coupled with that, if you can, at the same time as you're thinking of the tongue, imagine how it would feel if you were singing this kind of, and you'll feel subtle movements in your voice and throat box. And if you just imagine you're singing as you're playing, your subconscious will do an awful lot of that for you. So if I now play the top C, move my tongue down, imagine I'm singing, but keep my embouchure really tight, keep the air going really fast, I can get a huge variation in the pitch on that top C. I can go... See, I can get all the way down there, and then I can control it back up as well. This. So that's quite a large part of the gliss in Rhapsody in Blue already. But what we need to do to couple with that, because we've got to go further than that interval, we've got to do almost a whole octave. We're going from the D, normally we do a chromatic scale up until the D and then start glissandoing from there. And what you do to couple with that, you slide your fingers gradually off the keys as you're manipulating that tongue, that throat and that voice box. And that allows us to get that huge range of motion, that and you'll see actually my fingers have come off by the time I've got to about, and then I'm doing the rest with my tongue. But the kind of moving the fingers is crucial at the start, and you just slide them off kind of gradually all together. It's a very slow motion, and they're the tools that you need to try that glissando. Once you've mastered that one, there are a few other glissandos that come up in clarinet music. Perhaps my favourite one is the one in the brilliant Artie Shaw Clarinet Concerto. And that one does, in fact, it glisses from a G right up to a high G across this 3 or 4 bars. And again, with that one, it's exactly the same principle. You start by sliding your fingers off, and then what I do is I finger a chromatic scale upwards whilst bending it with the tongue. So we get this kind of sort of thing, and you see how you can gliss smoothly all the way up there. So that's a few tips and tricks on how to go about trying that Rhapsody in Blue gliss. So let us know how you get on.